Kara moved through the crimson jungle with practiced silence, her 4 amber eyes tracking the broken branch ahead. The human had passed through here less than an hour ago, leaving signs that would have been invisible to lesser hunters. But Kara was no ordinary predator. She had stalked prey across 17 worlds, and her reputation among the Vral hunting clans was legendary. The human called himself Tom Blake, according to the colony records she had stolen before beginning her hunt. A surveyor, they said, an explorer mapping the outer reaches of this worthless jungle planet for some forgotten Earth corporation. When the Vral raiding party had struck his camp 7 days ago, he had been the only one to escape into the dense wilderness. The others had been taken as trophies or sold to the labor markets. But Tom Blake had vanished into the alien forest like smoke. That had intrigued Kara. The Vral did not often lose prey, especially not the soft-skinned humans who fell so easily to fang and claw. She had volunteered to track him personally, waving off the other hunters who wanted the honor. This one was hers. For 6 days, she had followed him through swamps that bubbled with toxic gases, across ravines where flying serpents nested in the walls, and beneath canopies so thick that even the twin suns could barely penetrate. The human moved well, better than she had expected. He used the streams to mask his scent. He climbed trees to avoid leaving tracks. He even laid false trails that had cost her precious hours. But Kara was patient. She had all the time in the world, and the human had only the supplies he could carry. Eventually, hunger and exhaustion would slow him down. They always did. On the 7th day, she found his latest camp just after dawn. The shelter was crude, but functional, wedged between the massive roots of a purple-barked giant. The fire had been carefully built to produce minimal smoke. A small collection of edible plants lay drying on a flat stone. Kara examined everything with growing respect. The human had learned quickly, adapting to this hostile environment with impressive speed. She found his water container, half buried near a stream. He would return for it soon. Thirst always brought them back. Kara settled into a concealed position upwind, her scaled skin shifting to match the mottled purple and green of the surrounding vegetation. Her breathing slowed to near silence. This was her favorite part of any hunt, the patient wait before the kill. She imagined the fear in his eyes when he realized his hunter had finally caught him. She imagined the desperate flight, the futile attempt to escape. Perhaps she would toy with him for a while, before ending it. The thought brought a satisfied purr from her throat. Hours passed. The twin suns climbed toward their zenith, and the jungle came alive with the sounds of creatures she had learned to ignore. Still, Tom Blake did not return. Kara remained motionless, trusting in her discipline. By late afternoon, doubt began to creep into her mind. Had he abandoned the camp? Had he somehow detected her presence? Impossible. She was invisible, silent, perfectly hidden. As the suns began their descent, she finally rose from her hiding spot. Something was wrong. She could feel it in the prickling of her scales, in an instinct honed by countless hunts across countless worlds. The camp was exactly as she had found it. Nothing had changed. The water container remained undisturbed. Kara turned slowly, scanning the jungle with all 4 eyes. The colors seemed wrong somehow, the shadows too deep. She had been so focused on watching the camp that she had forgotten the first rule of being a predator. Always know who else might be hunting. The vine around her ankle tightened with vicious speed, yanking her off her feet before she could react. She slammed into the ground hard enough to drive the air from her lungs. Another vine wrapped around her wrist as she reached for her blade, then another around her throat. She thrashed wildly, her superior strength tearing through the vines, but more kept coming. They seemed to sprout from the very ground itself, wrapping around her limbs, her torso, her snout. Within seconds, she was completely immobilized, suspended 2 feet above the jungle floor in a cocoon of living rope. Tom Blake stepped out from behind a tree 20 yards away. He looked thinner than his colony photos, his face burned dark by the twin suns and marked with scratches from thorns and branches. His clothes were in tatters, held together with strips of vine, but his eyes were alert and sharp, and they held no trace of fear. "Waited long enough?" he asked, his voice rough from days without proper speech. He spoke an accented Vral trade tongue, the language all hunting clans used. "I was starting to think you wouldn't take the bait," Kara snarled, twisting against her bonds. The vines held firm. "Those are slither vines," Tom said, walking closer but staying just out of reach. "Found them on day 3. Took me 2 days to figure out how to control them without getting strangled myself. Turns out they respond to chemical signals in certain plants. You just need to know which ones." He held up his hands, showing fingers stained green with plant juice. 7 days, Kara hissed. "You knew I was following you." "Since day 2, Tom confirmed. "You're good, I'll give you that. Took me a full day to realize I wasn't alone. After that, well, I had to decide whether to keep running or change the game." "You cannot hope to kill me," Kara said, forcing confidence into her voice. "My clan will come looking. They will tear you apart." "Maybe," Tom said, "but I don't think your clan is coming back to this sector anytime soon. I found your ship yesterday. Nice vessel. I made sure to trigger the emergency beacon before I set the self-destruct." Kara's 4 eyes widened. "You lie. Your people will receive a distress signal showing the ship was attacked and destroyed. They'll assume you died in the fight. No one's going to waste resources searching this worthless jungle planet for one missing hunter." Tom smiled grimly. "I learned a lot about Vral clan honor when I was translating survey documents." "You don't go back for the dead. What do you want?" Kara demanded. Tom was silent for a long moment, studying her with those sharp human eyes. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter, colder. "My team was 17 people. Scientists, engineers, cartographers. Good people. Your raid killed 9 of them outright. Took 8 for your slave markets. I want you to understand what you took from this universe." He moved closer now, close enough that Kara could smell the strange scent of human sweat mixed with jungle plants. "I've been thinking about this for 7 days, Tom said. Thinking about what to do when I finally caught you. Part of me wants revenge. Part of me wants justice. But mostly, I just want to make sure you never hunt humans again." "Then kill me," Kara spat. "If you have the courage." "That would be too easy," Tom said. He reached into a pouch at his belt and pulled out a small device. Kara recognized it immediately. A neural suppressor, the kind used to pacify dangerous animals. The colonial authorities have a bounty system for slavers. You're worth more alive than dead. And there's a trial waiting for you, a very public one. The kind that makes examples. He pressed the device against her neck. Kara felt a cold tingle spread through her nervous system, felt her muscles go slack despite her desperate attempts to resist. "The thing about being prey," Tom said as her vision began to blur, "is that you learn things predators never bother to know. You learn to watch, to wait, to think 3 steps ahead. You learn that the weak survive by being smarter, not stronger." The last thing Kara saw before unconsciousness took her was Tom Blake's face, marked by the jungle, hardened by survival, and utterly without mercy. When the human survey team arrived 6 days later, responding to the beacon Tom had secretly activated from Kara's ship, they found him waiting at the original campsite. He was thinner, scarred, but alive. Beside him, wrapped in enough slither vines to restrain a small vehicle, lay the infamous Vral Huntress, who had terrorized 3 colonial sectors. The story spread quickly through human space. The surveyor who had turned the tables on his hunter, who had survived in an alien jungle and captured one of the most dangerous predators in known space. But Tom Blake never told the full story. He never mentioned the nights he had lain awake, listening to her approach. He never spoke of the fear that had driven him deeper into the jungle, or the desperation that had forced him to learn its secrets. He never admitted that the trap had been his last gamble, that if it had failed, he would have had nothing left. The Huntress had taught him one final lesson, that the line between predator and prey is thinner than anyone believes, and that it only takes one human, one weak, and one terrible motivation to cross it.